Okay, good evening, and call the meeting to order. I see everyone is in attendance. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof? Seeing none, I've got some opening remarks. Okay, the public meeting is being heard by the City Council Planning Advisory Committee, and public notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The non-elected members of the Planning Advisory Committee are Mr. John Beltutis, Mr. David Joyce, Ms. Catherine Brown, and Mr. Paul Jennings. Citizen appointees may ask questions and participate in the discussion in order to assist in making recommendations to City Council, but may not make motions or vote in connection with the public meeting. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Planning Committee or City Council before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of City Council or the local planning appeal tribunal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the City of Belleville before the related bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the local planning appeal tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. Comments received at this public meeting, as well as written comments, will be considered by the Engineering Development Services Department in analysis of the applications that were part of the public meeting tonight. For further information on how to provide comments to the city regarding an application from this public meeting, please email planning@belleville.ca. A recommendation report will be brought forward upon receipt of all agency and public comments in the future. Any persons wishing to be advised of the Belleville Planning Advisory Committee's recommendations with respect to today's applications are requested to provide their name and address, as well as the application in which they have an interest in writing to the City of Belleville. And so we'll go to the public meeting. 3.1, notice of secondary introductory public meeting for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 10245, 135 Station Street, City of Belleville. Owner is KGF Capital Realty. Agent is Ecoview Consulting Services. And file number is B-77-1148. We have the application presented, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject land is currently being developed with a 6-story mixed-use building with 103 dwelling units. On September 1st, staff received a rezoning application for the subject property, which requested to amend the site-specific residential 7th density exception 12 zone to permit an additional 30 dwelling units, add a specific office and medical clinic use, reduce the minimum required lot area per dwelling unit, and reduce the minimum required parking per dwelling unit. On October 19th, the application was revised to remove the request to permit a specific office and medical clinic use to the proposed zoning. The other requested special provisions are maintained by the revised application. The residential portion of the proposed development will include affordable rental dwelling units, and the remaining 626 square meters of building floor area would be used for commercial uses. Staff received correspondence from 7 members of the public regarding the original application and 2 additional members of the public regarding the revised application. The official plan designation of the property is City Center and Environmental Protection. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And for part of the presentation, we have Andrew Marshall and Ken Paparakis.
Just getting them to join the
Good evening.
Good evening. You have the floor.
Yeah, I will turn things over to my client to speak on his own behalf. Ken?
Hello, everybody. I think it's pretty straightforward. We're just we've taken out that that section with the medical office, and the pretty much says it all. We're just looking to change it to the 30 units as we've discussed.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Everything else stays the same on the application.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from committee members? Mr. Joyce, then Mr. Alsop. Yep.
Through the chair to Ken. Ken, I'm just curious what happened with the Back to Home program there, which is what the original intent was. Is that off the radar now, and are they looking for a new location, or?
We are working with them at another looking at another building that we can more suitable for them. We had a lot of pushback on it, and just we decided to go a different route.
But you are working with them on that other program, or the program itself then?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Alsop.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I did have some calls from neighbors that were concerned about the parking figures, particularly down to 0.84 units. They would have preferred that number stay closer to the 0.9 units that we had been talking about previously. Has there been any consideration about what we will do surrounding parking? I know that one of the considerations was that 30 of these units were going to be sort of more affordable housing, and the assumption there being that maybe less of those people would drive cars. But from some of the people I've spoken to who worked in affordable housing, they say even though some of the residents might not own cars, there's always people there, picking them up for appointments, dropping things off to them. So there is still a need for parking that's generated by those units. Just wondering if you had any comment on that and thoughts about bringing the parking back up and whether that would be feasible at that location.
Hold on.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We haven't really thought about it. We have I believe we have 146 parking spots. I'm not 100% sure. At this moment, I've done a few projects like this with it's affordable housing, and 10% of the parking spaces are used. And I've got properties. I've done these programs before, from Bancroft to Quinte West and whatever. And the parking, there's about, I would say, not even half the parking spots are being used. So we haven't really looked at the parking situation. We did, we're trying to look at an alternative, maybe buying some more property nearby us to try and to alleviate, but at this moment, no.
Okay, so you're not concerned about that based on what you've seen at your other properties, but should it become an issue, you have some ideas of how you would solve that?
We're working on some ideas, but at this moment, from my experience and from and my first initiative with affordable housing was in 2008. So I've had a few years in monitoring how the parking situation, and at this moment, I don't think there's any concern in that portion.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Councillor Feeney.
Thank you, Chair. I live in a building and I haven't had a car for 15 years, but I appreciate having the fact that I have a parking space for my family and friends and deliveries. So I don't think you should discount the fact that people, even though they don't own their own vehicles, may not need a parking space for a variety of reasons.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And I've got a resolution that the PGF Capital Realty application being number 77-1148 be referred to the regular meeting for consideration. Moved by Councillor Sanderson, second by Councillor Alsop. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. 3.2 Notice of Complete Application and Introductory Public Meeting Application for Proposed Zoning Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 3014, 284, 286 Maitland Drive, City of Belleville. Owners Myers Creek Developments Incorporated. Agent is RFA Planning Consultant Incorporated, and file number is B-77-1151. Ms. McAdam, would you present the application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 284 Maitland Drive is a former residential lot that is now vacant, and 286 Maitland Drive is an existing industrial property abutting 284, which is currently developed with industrial buildings. A consent application has been filed to add a portion of the excess undeveloped land from 286 Maitland Drive to the vacant land at 284 Maitland Drive to create a larger development parcel. The application proposes to rezone the resulting development parcel from a rural residential zone and a general industrial zone to a service industrial zone with special provisions to permit limited service industrial uses, as well as other uses, including a medical clinic, veterinary clinic, business, professional, and administrative office, including a vocational skills and training center and adult resource center. The application would facilitate the development of a single-story, 744 square meter building that would be divided into various units. Staff have not received any public correspondence regarding the application at this time, and the official plan designation of the subject land is industrial land use. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Of Ruth Ferguson Althouse listed to make a presentation, and Hillary Murphy will be available for questions, as well as Jason Reed I have listed.
Just adding them now, Chair.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Planning Committee and staff. I have a presentation that I believe Mark is going to share on the screen.
Yes. Got yours right there.
Yes, I think that's the very end of it.
We can fix that. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks very much. We can move on to the first slide just to introduce the location of the property. The subject lands are 0.35 hectares or 0.86 acres within the Belleville urban serviced area. There's frontage on both Maitland Drive and on Mineral Road, and 72 meters on the east side of Mineral Road. It's in a general industrial area of the Canifton urban area. On the west side, there is an existing commercial plaza. The site itself, it did have a dwelling many years ago, but that has been removed from the property. It is a vacant property with minimal vegetation. Next, please. We pre-consulted with municipal staff early in October and filed the applications at the end of October, and have submitted the rezoning application with the planning report, as well as a preliminary site plan and landscape plan prepared by task force. This is a copy of the site plan that was prepared by task force. There is a one-story building shown in yellow proposed on the site. It would be divided into separate units to accommodate the range of proposed service industrial uses. It will have access through an entrance on the south side of Maitland Drive and the east side of Mineral Road, and there will be a sidewalk on the west side of the building. There are 34 parking spaces proposed, including 2 accessible parking spaces. And there'll be landscaping shown in green along the road frontages in the rear yard, primarily in the form of grassed areas and trees. The property line adjoining the industrial lands to the east would be fenced. And of course, there are full municipal services available. These are elevation drawings that were prepared by task force. They are preliminary, but showing the building at both the south and the north elevations. With respect to the provincial policy statement, the rezoning is consistent with the 2020 PPS. It is within the Belleville settlement area, which is the focus for growth and development. There is an appropriate mix and range of employment, institutional, and broader mix of uses that will meet the long-term needs of the employment area. The service industrial building will diversify the economic base. It will include a range of employment uses that support economic activities in the surrounding area. Next, please. With respect to the Belleville official plan, the purple on this drawing shows the industrial land use designation with the lands outlined in green. No official plan amendment is required, and the rezoning conforms to the industrial and special land use policies for the Canifton planning area of the Belleville OP. With respect to the existing zoning, there is split zone between a rural residential zone shown in yellow and the general industrial M1 zone. so that the proposed rezoning to the service industrial SI zone will have a special list of permitted uses. And the reason that it is special is that there are more uses that are permitted under the SI zone, which are not going to be proposed here. So it will be more restrictive, such as automotive uses as an example. Yeah, but it will include the medical clinic and some of the uses that would support the employment areas, such as wholesale establishment, convenience stores, and eating establishment. With respect to the zoning analysis, the site will be developed to meet and exceed all of the SI zone provisions. This chart summarizes those, and there will be more space devoted to on-site parking and landscaping, resulting in a high-quality urban form and site development. That concludes the presentation for the application. As I mentioned at the beginning, I think that Hillary is also available if there are any questions about the project to rezone the lands to the SI zone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from committee members? No, I don't see any questions at all. Okay, thank you. So I have a resolution that the Myers Creek Developments Incorporated application number B-77-1151 be referred to the regular planning meeting for consideration. Moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Feeney. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 3.3 notice of complete application and introductory public meeting for application for proposed amendment to zoning bylaw number 10245 as amended, 151 Station Street, City of Belleville. Owner is 242-2093 Ontario Limited. Applicant is RFA Planning Consultant Incorporated. And file number B-77-1152. Ms. McAdam, would you like to present the application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject land is a vacant lot currently being used as vehicle display for the abutting property. The applicant is proposing to rezone the subject land from a general commercial zone to a residential 6 density zone with special provisions to permit the development of a 4-story, 4-unit apartment building. Special provisions are requested for reduced lot frontage, lot area per dwelling unit, front yard depth, interior and exterior side yard width, landscaped area, and increased building height. The proposed density of this development is 79.7 units per net hectare, which is considered high density residential under the official plan. And the city has not received correspondence from members of the public regarding this application at this time. The official plan designation of the subject land is city center. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry about that. I had too many things on my screen. Thank you for the presentation. And I've got Spencer Hutchison will make a formal presentation, and Trevor Cleve is listed as well.
They are joining the meeting now.
Thank you, Mr. Coyles. Good evening, folks. These PowerPoint may be a little repetitious because they come from the same drafts person. So if we go to the next slide, please. So the subject property is at the corner of Albion Way and Station Street. It's just over 500 square meters in size with 12 meters of frontage on Station Street and almost 48 meters along Albion Way. To the south is a medical clinic. Southeast is the property that you were just talking about a few minutes ago. To the west, on the other side of Station Street, are residential uses. And to the east on the Albion Street are further residential uses. It's a little deceptive. If you drove by, you would think this parcel is part of the car dealership, but it is not. It is under separate ownership, and basically it's grass and gravel. Next slide, please. So we met with staff in July and filed our applications in late October this year. And in that application, we had the rezoning application, planning rationale, proposed site plan, servicing brief, stormwater management report, and a noise control feasibility study. Next slide, please. So the site plan shows a 4-story, 4-unit apartment building for rental. And one of the units will be barrier-free and will help provide at-grade access. It's at the property lines to the south and northwest to tie it into the gateway concept without pushing the building back away and having a sort of unused open space. In the same regard, the parking has been pushed in behind the building. So entering the gateway from the north from Station Street and from Canafton Road, the parking will be hidden by the building, and we will be on full municipal services. Next, please. This is the rendition at this hour of the building. It's a unique building in that if you look at the south elevation, it might not be able to, the corner of the building is missing because we need a daylight triangle so that anybody coming in from Albion Way can see through the corner to anybody on Station Street. So while the upper floors are rectangular, the bottom first floor has a triangle taken out of the corner, which, you know, we believe adds to the gateway concept of a unique feature. Next slide. So in terms of the servicing, water will come from municipal services. Same with sanitary, and stormwater will be controlled so it has no off-site impacts. And of course, during construction, we would use silt fencing and geotextiles. Next. Because of the nearby or relative proximity of the rail line, we were requested to do the noise feasibility study, which was submitted. There's no outdoor living areas, so that doesn't cause a problem for noise, but we will have to look at central air conditioning and warning clauses of the proximity of noise generation. So it has been looked at and can be dealt with as part of the building. Next slide. And again, just to touch base with the provincial policy statement, it likewise is in the settlement area where we should have growth. It's contributes between residential densities and housing forms, and it's an infill on a vacant lot serviced by existing infrastructure. Next slide, please. And this is the official plan. The property is the purple little triangle. The black squares are because we zoomed in on the boundary of the city center. So really those are just zoomed in city center boundaries off the purple, and no official plan amendment is requested or required. Next one. And it's within the Riverview neighborhood and a gateway area as is delineated on Schedule D2. And if you look at the drawing from the official plan, it shows a 4-story building, which is what we're proposing. And so arguably it's as the intensification Riverview neighborhood was requesting. Next slide. And right now the property's zone general commercial, and we are asking for a residential 6 density with special provisions. The C2 zone allows apartment units in upper floors. So we wanted a ground floor residential unit. Therefore, we said it's an apartment building, let's put it in R6 zone. And the R6 zone, unlike the C2 zone, has setbacks from the property lines. And so basically we're asking for the C2 zoning standards, but for this R6 building. Next slide. And this, in summary, 4-story infill in the city center, adding some units, and we'll use existing services. Thanks. And the owner, I believe, is available.
Okay, thank you for that. And I see Mr. Cleve is there on the screen. Any questions from committee members? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you for that presentation. I don't have any other speakers. So I have a resolution that the 242-2093 Ontario Limited application number B-77-1152 be referred to the regular planning meeting for consideration. Moved by Councillor Feeney, seconded by Councillor Alsop. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I need a motion to adjourn this portion of the meeting. Councillor Alsop, Councillor Sanderson, all in favor? That's carried. Moving on to the Plan Advisory Committee meeting. I see we're all in attendance. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Not seeing any. Reading and confirmation of the minutes, that the minutes of the City Council Planning Committee meeting and Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on November 1st, 2021 be approved. Moved by Mr. Veltuda, second by Mr. Jennings. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. No correspondence, Mr. Clerk. Okay, I'm going to go with.
Oh, there's not.
Okay, thank you. Just want to double check. 6.1 referrals from the public meeting. Notice of secondary introductory public meeting for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 10-245, 135 Station Street, City of Belleville. Owner is KGF Capital Realty. Agent is EchoView Consulting Services Incorporated. File number B-77-1148. Resolution reads that report number PP-2021-66 dated December 6, 2021 regarding notice of secondary introductory public meeting for proposed amendment to zoning bylaw number 10-245 as amended, 135 Station Street, City of Belleville, County of Hastings be received as information, and that staff report back at such time as input from the public, commenting agencies, and municipal departments has been received, assessed, and addressed to the satisfaction of the Engineering and Development Services Department. Get somebody to move that, please. Councillor Sanderson, second by Councillor Alsop. Any questions or comments? See none, all in favor? That's carried. 6.2, notice of complete application and introductory public meeting. Application for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 3014, 284 to 286 Maitland Drive, City of Belleville. Owners Myers Creek Developments Incorporated. Agent is RFA Planning Consultant Incorporated, and file number B-77-1151. Resolution reads that report number PP-2021-67 dated December 6, 2021 regarding notice of complete application and introductory public meeting for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 3014, 284 to 286 Maitland Drive, City of Belleville be received as information, and the staff report back at such time as input from the public, commenting agencies, and municipal departments has been received, assessed, and addressed to the satisfaction of the Engineering and Development Services Department. Moved by Mr. Joyce, seconded by Mr. Beltudis. Any questions or comments? See none, all in favor? That's carried. 6.3, notice of complete application and introductory public meeting for application for proposed amendment to zoning bylaw number 10-245 as amended, 151 Station Street, City of Belleville. Owner is 242-2093 Ontario Limited. Applicant is RFA Planning Consultant Incorporated. File numbers B-77-1152. Resolution reads that report number PP-2021-68 dated December 6, 2021 regarding notice of complete application and introductory public meeting for application for proposed amendment to zoning bylaw number 10-245 as amended, 151 Station Street, City of Belleville be received as information, and that staff report back at such time as input from the public, commenting agencies, and municipal departments has been received, assessed, and addressed to the satisfaction of the Engineering and Development Services Department. Moved by Mr. Jennings, seconded by Councillor Alsop. Any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Moving on to reports. 7.1 staff recommendation report for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 10-245, 97 Donald Street, City of Belleville. Owners Joshua DeHaan and Jessica Barrett. Agent is Free Hills Engineering and Ken DeHaan. File number is B-77-1149. Resolution reads that the Planning Advisory Committee recommends the following to City Council. That that zoning bylaw number 10245 as amended be amended to rezone the retained parcel of 97 Donald Street to residential fourth density R4-58 zone with special provisions for the existing front and side yard, reduced rear yard and lot area, and limiting rear yard decks, and to rezone the severed parcel of 97 Donald Street to residential fourth density R4-59 zone with special provisions for reduced rear yard, increased lot coverage, and prohibiting rear yard decks. I get somebody to move that, please. Councillor Sanderson, seconded by Ms. Brown. Any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. 7.2, staff recommendation report for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 10245 for 57 Octavia Street, City of Belleville. Owner is Juan Hernandez. Agent is RFA Planning Consultant Incorporated. File number is B-77-1150. Resolution reads, the Planning Advisory Committee recommends the following to City Council: that zoning bylaw amendment application B-77-1150 respecting 57 Octavia Street be denied. Need somebody to move that, please. Councillor Sanderson, seconded by Councillor Feeney. Any questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. I note that Information Matters, the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment monitoring report was not distributed. It is available online, but just out of precaution, we won't receive that tonight. Moving on to general business. Does anybody have anything for general business? Mr. Baltutis.
Thank you, Chair. Just curious, members of the committee, when do you think we could go back to in-person meetings? I see council has started that. Are we pushing it? Or I know our numbers are starting to climb, and maybe the health unit will dictate whether or not we can meet in person or whatever. I just thought I'd put it out there and see what the process is to meet in person. That's all.
Okay. I will say that perhaps if committee members are interested in changing the format, perhaps send an email to myself and the city clerk as to your preference. And certainly the city clerk, myself, and planning staff can have conversation and make a determination. So just, yeah, I would just have you submit some comments just by email rather than discussing this right now.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you for bringing that forward. Any other items for general business? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you for a call adjournment. I guess got closing remarks. The Planning Advisory Committee's applicable decisions will be forwarded to the City Council for consideration, forming part of the agenda for the City Council meeting to be held. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Baltutis, Ms. Brown, all in favor?